Ready? 1, 2, 3. Hey, everybody! Welcome to the Youth Ministry Garage, episode 214. We've got some new faces, really mine and Seth's. I have a new hair gel.
Your hair and Seth.
We talked about that beforehand. I'm Doug Fields. This is Katie, the Queen Edwards, Josh, the co-host, Griffin, and replacing this week. And this has nothing to do with editing Matt three times, but
a little bit. Yeah.
For those of you who are regulars, you've heard us talk about Seth, who is the executive producer. Matt could not be here tonight because he had an elders meeting.
Yes.
So he is the future of the church.
Absolutely.
He's got to do big shot type stuff. And Seth actually just confessed to us that he's a little nervous.
Yeah, he should be. There's big
He should have
shoes
to
to fill.
answer the first question all by himself.
By himself. I love it.
Well, he doesn't have to fill Matt's shoes as long as he just doesn't talk over every single question and answer.
Yeah.
He will be way better than Matt ever was.
We'll have a really quiet laugh too. So
it's on
People
purpose. I don't want to overtake the conversation.
Okay, but Seth, here's the deal with Seth. Seth is not like just an executive producer of a show. He's got youth ministry chops.
Oh, yeah.
totally.
So why don't you tell our team a little of your story?
That's
Yeah.
your chops.
Yeah. I served as
That's enough. All right, no. Go ahead.
8 years as a youth pastor in Midwest in Indiana, and absolutely loved it. And just live and breathe youth ministry. So this is a ton of fun to get to work on the podcast and other things that are resourcing youth workers.
Yeah. And everywhere I go, I feel like I was telling him the other day, I'm meeting his cronies. He's got, like, I was in Chicago, and people go, hey, I'm Seth's friend. I'm like, gosh, Seth's got more friends than anybody that I know.
It is true.
Yeah, it's
But
expensive. I paid him a lot.
But he ran
You're a nice person.
he ran a student leadership conference out in Indiana,
Yep.
with a bunch of his buddies, and so he moved out here almost a year ago to work with me in the student leadership conference and Homeward, and it has been great. Speaking of the student leadership conference, we're doing 3 of them this year. Where are they going to be?
They're going to be in Southern California, Dallas, and Pennsylvania. So if you're anywhere even close to those, you need to check out the registration before it goes up again.
Yeah,
Is it in Hershey?
That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be delicious.
It's on the other side of the state, near Philadelphia.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Oh, you still have Philly cheesesteaks, though. I'm down.
Yeah.
Are you at all 3
America.
I'm not in Dallas because it's my son's kindergarten graduation, if he makes it. And half joke, half true. And
Like father,
but
like son.
I'll be at the other 2. I'll be here in California and in Pennsylvania. I'm excited.
Of them? All right.
Yeah.
So great.
Seth also used to work and do some stuff with Remedy Live, one
Yeah.
of our sponsors too.
Well,
so
that's kind of how we met.
that's a cool little
Seth.
connection back to
Yeah.
Love Remedy.
that we
That's why
really love.
Remedy doesn't like us anymore.
That's right. We steal their people, and I'm sorry.
That's right. Well, we are thankful to Remedy and to Youth Ministry 360 and to Leader Tracks,
yeah.
and to APU and
Yep.
especially to Youth Specialties, who they power our show. We just actually heard a fun story about Leader Tracks because was it our last show?
Yeah, we talked about a youth worker who was just going through a really bad rough patch. He got fired. He was looking for a job. His
And
wife
this is
was
not
pregnant.
Matt McGill.
This is not Matt McGill.
Different guy who got canned.
Yeah.
And so you had mentioned on the show, wouldn't it be cool if Leadership sent them to their refuel retreat?
Yeah.
And it was just like the quickest email exchange. They shot back a response like, absolutely, we're sending this guy. Now here's the cool
really
thing.
cool.
Their April refuel retreats are sold out. I'd like to say partly due to how much promo we give them, right?
what we do.
Right?
That's what we do.
But
Thanks for the
they're
sponsorship.
sending them to the November one, which is in his state, so it's perfect.
Oh, that's awesome.
neat. Little escape, getaway, refresh.
That's
Brilliant.
great. But you went to YS's unconference when it was in...
I did. Up in
Southern
LA,
California?
we had a lot of fun. It was neat. It was just really a discussion time where you just hang out with other youth workers.
Organized discussion.
Organized discussion around different topics and different people leading, and no one had name tags. It was super cool. Like no one knew any of it, and it was fun. And part of it is I just realized I don't get out of the church very much. I am head down, doing work, killing it. That's what
You're the hardest working youth pastor in the country.
killing it. So
I'm awesome. I'm killing it all the time. No doubt about it.
sometimes it
Then I
feels
go
good
out
to not kill it.
McGill's not here, so the arrogance had to shift to one of the seats.
No, what I'm saying is it's fun to like take a deep breath and look around and talk to people and just like find other people that share your calling. It really was in many ways refueling as well. It was a couple really neat ideas, a couple ideas that I don't think I'll ever do, but it was great discussion.
Yeah.
So, had a
and Mark
blast.
Matlock, who's the head of youth specialties, he's in his element in that kind of thing. Isn't
What
he?
I loved about him is he wasn't like the facilitator up front. I mean, he did that, but then he immediately jumped into the circles and was a total participant great, dude. It was fun.
Yeah, they're doing them free all over the country.
Yeah, there's
they're
a
doing
bunch
12
more.
of them. And
I think the idea should and could very easily stick. It was
Love
cool.
that it's free.
Yeah.
it's great.
There's so
Free
many-
lunch. One of the camps in the area
most
sponsored
of
the
those
lunch.
things aren't.
Yeah.
A couple of really sharp people. It was awesome.
cool.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Very cool. Hey, well, speaking of sharp people, we got a bunch of questions in.
There we go.
I've kind of created an explosion with all the backlog questions. I felt like I just needed to just clean them out.
Yeah.
So if we haven't got to your question, I'm sorry. It's
Yeah.
time to send it back in.
So it's gone. If it's not on the show, it doesn't exist to
Yeah,
us.
well, it does. It's in this notebook, but I'm throwing it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm throwing it
That
away.
would be a good
It's
resource.
too hard to. Here's the deal. It's too hard to go back and like filter out. So I just
No, I
tend
get
to
it.
take the ones on the top.
So next
right
week,
now.
no questions, because we don't have any. Unless you send them in.
Send them in to Youth Ministry Garage. So this is from Jennifer Para. My husband is a youth pastor.
It's just for Seth, right?
No. My husband is a youth pastor. I've recently stopped being involved due to marriage and ministry being a challenge. He thinks it's best that I do not help him with anything, but I want to help him and feel like I'm not being a good pastor's wife if I'm not. Need your advice.
Let's pick sides. Who's in?
Who's in what?
I'm with her.
Yeah? That she should help?
Yeah. I thought we were just gonna pick sides and then be done. Sorry.
Who thought that?
That was quick.
That
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
good.
Next question.
Youth
All right.
ministry thought that.
What's that? The hardest working guy in youth? Yeah. That's funny. You are, Josh.
No,
You
you
are
guys
in
are
your own
jerks.
mind.
Love you, nothing but love.
Well, here's the
For
deal.
love, not loser.
We don't have enough really context of this
yeah.
because we don't know
There's no
why
way
the
we can
husband
answer that.
doesn't want
Yeah.
him to work. I'd really not such a thing.
I like to read over
Yeah,
your
please
shoulder.
don't.
I
It's like
know.
my
I
favorite
know.
thing to do.
And mock me when I mispronounce
No.
names.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So we don't have a lot of context as to why he doesn't want her to. That would be helpful to know that.
Sure.
But one of the things that my adorable wife talks about all the time is this term seasons. And that spouses have seasons of ministry. That sometimes the season is heavy youth ministry.
Yeah.
Sometimes the season is low youth ministry, if non-existent youth ministry. And to find that season that is right for you, that you both, husband and wife, stack hands on that. And it may be role reverse, because as we've talked, Katie's role reverse. She's full-time working in the church, and her husband is a volunteer. And so, there are times you've got kids,
Sure.
foster care, Ron's real busy, the whole bit. There are times that he's less involved than others. So I would say, Jennifer, maybe this is a season, based on what your husband's saying, that you go ahead and take a season off and take a year off and enjoy that time, refresh, restore when, encourage him, build him up, the whole bit. You're not being a bad pastor's wife. He's dying for your encouragement, so give him your encouragement.
I would throw one other thing. I would say the reason he doesn't want her to serve is because it's difficult and it's been challenging. And I would just say that's right. Isn't that the gist of it in the note?
Yeah, I've recently stopped being involved due to marriage and ministry being a challenge.
And I would just say that's not going to go away.
Yeah.
So that part isn't a season. It never gets super
never less
perfect,
challenging.
easy. It's always going to be a challenge. So if that's really the only reason, I would say, well, then I would actually fight through some of that. Maybe not literally fight, but I work through some of that because it's not always going to be a perfect, calm, glassy ocean. Ministry is going to have some turbulence.
Well,
so.
we've talked about defining involvement before too, of, if you have a set idea of what it looks like to be a pastor's wife or to be a youth
Totally.
ministry volunteer, maybe it's just a little bit of redefining those roles a little
Yep.
bit. Being a prayer, I think my husband is a prayer warrior for our ministry, and that is an important role for me and for our ministry, and I'm grateful that he plays that role as a volunteer. He's not always hands-on with students, but I think there are other roles that he plays, bringing his truck so that we can load it up with luggage and, things like that he just has a little bit of a redefined role of what volunteering looks like. So maybe it's even just kind of shifting your own ideas of pastor's wife and youth ministry volunteer and thinking of great ways together that you can be involved, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the most challenging places.
Right,
If
running
it's
the girls'
really
ministry or
something that
something.
you're
Yeah.
heading up summer camp, well, maybe it's stepping back from that and loving on all the leaders at summer camp or something like that. So
Cool.
Well, bottom line, your marriage is more important than
Absolutely.
your ministry. McGill just texted me, hope the podcast is awesome. It is,
I was
Matt.
going to say reply and say, without you, it's better than ever.
Believe me, I will.
I mean, think of all that Seth has
Seth is
contributed.
killing
No,
It's been
it.
incredible.
I know.
You've done more
Sir,
already.
Seth.
My strategy
than
going into
that.
this was I was just going to sit back and just say, yeah, like this is good. I'm loving what you guys are saying. Kind of like what I do over here.
Yeah.
You're like,
But I will-
go to
let me
student
just
leadership.
go
Now, if Matt was here, Matt would say that's what Josh did for the first 3 years of the podcast.
And
That
look,
is-
look where he's
well,
at.
I
that's
did
totally
that for
true,
a while.
actually.
First few.
Still a little bit true.
You know, the part of the context that we don't have is there could be some church culture issues going on where the expectation of the pastor's wife is you're involved, and so she might be feeling, well, if I need to pull back a little bit, what would the other wives think? Like that whole
Right,
thing.
right.
I know my wife felt at different times that there were some unsaid expectations, even though we wanted to go through a season of her pulling back a little bit. She didn't want it to be perceived as her not caring and all
call.
that. She was fighting the perceptions, and so we had to work through that.
Yeah.
That's good. Strong.
All right, I'm going to give you an A.
Am I-
I'm gonna
am I in?
pound that.
All right.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
give you a little Matt McGill
Just gonna
pound.
wave.
Okay.
Yep, you know Katie, but we'll take it.
Yeah, but not bad.
Yeah, this is from Jeff Boos.
3, 4.
If you were Matt, we never would have said anything. So.
Yeah.
We would have been
Can you
like,
imagine
to
this
have
elder
you.
meeting?
why are we here?
It's just so refreshing to have you here. Actually, I did go. Actually, both Seth and I went to church last weekend to hear Matt preach.
Oh, was it great?
Yeah.
He did a good
He
job.
was so
He's
great.
Yeah, he did a good job. It's
Fun.
actually his first time to preach in a church to adults.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
'cause-
awesome.
Oh, right. Never at Saddleback.
Yeah, student guy, yeah.
I mean, he did parent meetings and things like that, but in
Sure,
terms
sure.
of teaching, preaching,
And it was his first time in front of that congregation.
Yeah,
So
so
I
that's
had
double whammy.
I had a ton of fun listening, kind of listening to his
Sure.
message, kind of watching the congregation react to him.
Totally.
the first beginning humor,
man.
he did not. He did
didn't
not.
land.
Oh, that's
well,
awesome.
it was funny. Like
it was very funny.
they're used to having this table out there that the senior pastor
Yeah.
preaches from, and he said he didn't want to do the table because every time he'd look down at his notes, his chins would asphyxiate him. Well, nobody laughs at
That's
that, and
funny.
it was very funny.
a rough
Oh,
crowd, you know?
no! And they're not like endearing, like, oh, new guy. Well, that's
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah,
They
no,
don't even
and-
give him that.
I would say
Because
by the end.
he's sweating. People are like walking up and giving him tissues. And,
Splash zone, the first couple rows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one service. Or
yeah,
was it-
and I said to him, you don't need to lose weight. You just need to get in shape.
I just don't sweat on people.
Yeah. You know,
The umbrellas in the front
here's a
row.
communication rule. When you're speaking, you don't want your audience to feel uncomfortable. If they feel uncomfortable, it hinders your
So
communication.
if you're breathing hard and sweating, they might think you're on a treadmill, not preaching.
Yeah.
That's
He actually had a good line. He's like, he had some great self-effacing humor, but one of them was like, "I've got more exercise during this message than I have all year." Yeah, two services.
Oh,
that wasn't a joke.
I wish
either.
that
That actually wasn't humor. That was just
Yeah.
it was a
was
cry
really
for help.
awesome.
He did great. He did great.
Yeah, he
so
did. It was a good,
Love
good
the
message.
McGill.
It was a good 3-part series.
Yeah. We missed lunch, but it was great. It was super fun.
Hey, Katie, Doug, Matt, and Josh. Those names were listed in no particular order except for Katie. Ladies first.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
I was gonna say.
I have a question. Did I say who it was from? This is Jeff Boos. Rhymes with
Yeah,
Moose.
Boots. Got it.
From Chesapeake, Virginia. Hey, you know what?
All right.
Virginia likes us, I feel like.
Yeah.
We get a lot from them.
We should get shirts. We're big in Virginia.
Well, again, if you're part of we talked about this the other night.
Part
If
of a
you're part of a network,
Stuff's happening.
We're gonna come your way. So if you're part of a network, send in your information to the Youth Ministry Garage.
Send in your information and let us know if we can plug in the RV. We'll be swinging by.
Yeah, we haven't confirmed dates with Katie yet.
No, we have to
we have to
lock
bring
her
all of her
up,
children. But Ron's got a big truck.
Yes, you can haul over stuff for us.
And actually, we're actually
Hello,
starting
sir,
something
guys.
in May
Yep.
after the FAM conference right here at my house.
Yeah, that'll be
and
super
it's
fun.
just open to Youth Ministry Garage people. What is it, Seth?
18th and 19th, it's only $19, and it's going to be a fun weekend hanging out here in beautiful Orange County.
Yeah.
$19 is so cheap.
It's so cheap.
Well, we're really only giving them dessert and all of our time.
But
Oh.
tells you how much our time is worth, though.
No, we're just trying it. We're
Well,
gonna.
and fun.
Yeah, we're gonna raise the price if we do it again. But
Well,
here's
it's
the deal: it's
fun.
tacked onto the FAM conference.
Right. So they have to buy
Sure,
a
we get some
registration.
freebies to give away at that
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Look at this.
So
Oh,
they can take everything.
Look at all this
We'll have
stuff.
we should have our
T-shirts over
sponsors.
there.
You're not taking notes. Let's have our sponsors send some stuff.
That'd be great, just for the weekend.
We're gonna observe.
That's my contribution.
Yeah, we're gonna observe observe Saddleback on Saturday night, hang out, talk about it.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Mariners on Sunday, observe their student ministry, and then talk about it. Then come over to my house.
Cool.
We're going to film a garage, hang out inside, have dinner, something like
Brownies.
that. Send people on their way.
Sounds great.
All right, it's going to be great.
I'm in.
We'd love to have you.
Join us this May.
I don't even know how to sign people up.
You go to the Youth Ministry Garage, and there's an events tab now.
Oh, great.
So just click on that.
Yeah,
We are big
Been busy.
shots. All right.
You're the executive.
Yeah.
I like that.
Assume a church has a lead pastor who wants to maintain a 30,000-foot view involvement with the church, which this person says, I'm okay with that. Should all youth ministry program changes have to run through the lead pastor for approval? Obviously, he needs to know what's happening, especially with big changes, but it is so hard to read a question with nobody interrupting me. Like, that is just, I'm kind of shocked that
Yeah, we're all just patiently
quiet.
waiting.
I just keep.
reveal the question.
I'm just
I
ready
know.
to choose sides at any moment.
No,
with the
I
senior
actually
pastor.
want Matt to watch this show back. And go, Matt, this is appropriate podcast behavior.
We
Look
miss
at
you, Matt.
Seth.
We miss you.
No, we don't. Obviously, he needs to know what's happening, especially with big changes, but should he have to be the one that makes the final decision on everything? My concern is that he bottlenecks growth and change, but is it putting a lot of decision making in the hands of a person that has little to no involvement in the different ministries of the church? That statement is not a slam. The lead pastor often comments from how he doesn't know what's happening in all the different ministry. At what point does the lead pastor trust that his pastoral staff is leading in the same direction as the church's vision and give them freedom to get there? What are your thoughts?
Trust is earned.
Trust is earned.
Yeah, I was just leaning into that one.
Wow, there you go.
Like, he's talking about wanting to earn the trust of the senior pastor so he doesn't have to go present all of them.
Let me translate the look you just got from Katie. Back off.
Rookie.
I just was
Yeah.
so like.
Rookie.
Back off. She's done almost 12 shows now.
Well, once we got paid sponsors, isn't that when she came
Yeah,
on?
she started to really. I'll be
Really
there.
committed
I'll be there.
I just was surprised by your like.
No, it's good.
Well, I told myself I was going to jump in early
You
just
did
on one.
this,
So this is
too.
There you go.
because I feel like I had a programming blunder early on in my youth ministry. Like, it was terrible.
Oh.
Parents upset, the whole bit. And so
What was
my senior pastor didn't really trust me. And so when I had to do big sweeping programming changes, he wanted to meet with me. I remember like this one time very vividly, 7 years down the road.
Yeah.
After
That's good. I was tracking with you.
several years of trying to earn that trust back, I went into his office and said, "Hey, I have this big programming change. Here's my passion behind it." And he's just like, Seth, I trust you. Go for it.
Oh.
And I just remember thinking,
That's cool.
Wow, that's great. But he was a hands-on guy. He wasn't a micromanager, but he also wanted everything to be, high level of excellence. So he just demanded a lot from his staff. But I didn't earn his trust at the very beginning. With a couple things, I had to get there. It's a long
What
road.
was the blunder?
Yeah.
I'll tell you about it sometime when you're older. It was,
One of those.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you're
It wasn't
so
like
sassy,
it wasn't like
Yeah, no. Back off. You heard her.
no one's ever yeah.
Wait, no one's heard the story?
No.
It's that
no.
good?
People know the story.
Oh,
It's just one of those
okay.
things where when you look back on all the things you've ever done in your youth ministry, you want to just kind of forget those
Yeah.
those
Oh,
things.
yeah.
I have
But it was a
100 of those.
significant learning
Yeah.
lesson.
Wow.
I grew a lot from it. But
Yeah.
it took a very long time to earn his trust back. But I just remember how rewarding it was when he said, "Hey, we're now at that point."
I grew a lot from it. That's a statement a person 10 years later says, because going through it,
Yeah.
you're just dying in a pile.
Oh, totally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Fun.
Well, let's back up a little bit and say that all of us in youth ministry think it's a lot easier to be a senior pastor than it really is.
Yeah.
I mean, we look at senior pastors' jobs and go, "Oh, come on, just back off," or "Hey, you hired me. Let me do it." And I mean, I've watched in 30 years working with church, everybody ragging on the senior pastor, and then those people go out to become senior pastors, and
Yeah.
they probably all need to come back and apologize.
Say it for a second.
Yeah, and say how difficult it is. It's difficult with all that pressure on your shoulders. Not that I've ever been a senior pastor, but I've been close to many. So there's a part of it that I would say to our friend Jeff, yes, trust is earned, but it might be good for you to come alongside him and just say, "Here's my observation of your management style, and I'd love to know, is my observation correct? Is it, here's where I'm feeling the tension. I'm feeling like," because I hate the bottleneck growth. So as soon as I read that, I went, "Oh, this just describes so
that
much of the
feeling.
fight that I've put in over the years." It's, in my setting, it was more with the executive pastor. But even when I was at Saddleback for 20 years, a lot of time decisions weren't made until Rick was engaged, and sometimes he was out and about and you couldn't get to him quickly, and so it was all the bottle, you're going, oh, let's get this thing moving. And that puts a lot of pressure on him as well. That's not fair, but I understand the bottleneck growth. So I think there's probably a conversation with the senior pastor just to say, hey, can I unpack a couple of scenarios from the last year, and I want to see how I can be a more effective leader. Yeah. And put the pressure on yourself, but outline how you observe him interacting with you, and see if there's any way, do we need to, can I save you time? I think one of the most effective ways you can help your senior pastor is by saving him or her time. Because if I've been telling Tori this now, my daughter who's 2 years into youth ministry and working for somebody, I'm going, what, take that on. Ask him if you can take that off his plate, because you become more valuable to people if you save them time. So go with it at that angle. I just want to save you time and free you up to do what you're best at. Do you want to make all these decisions? I've sensed this last year that stuff kind of, it's like air traffic control. It's always waiting on you to go through this, and and if he may say no, I want to touch every decision. Yeah, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, I heard about a youth worker this week in the area who is at a church with a new executive pastor that wants to be involved in everything.
Is that McGill?
No, it's not. But they are dying. An experienced, excellent youth worker who's extremely capable is ready to be done. Because of our over controlling executive pastor. I love what you guys have said. Just throw out one extra thing. I think the communication is a really big piece of this. So if you're regularly communicating and keeping them in the loop, showing that you're capable of leadership, showing them the good and the bad, warning them about the ugly, I think it makes a big difference. So communicate well, and when it comes time to make a big decision, or you need time with someone or whatever, the information that you have given them will potentially give you a lot more freedom and trust in the future.
That's a great one.
You want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, great job.
All right. This is from Bob Wright.
Goose?
How would you say that? Right? From Seal Beach, California. So
right up the road.
40 miles up the road.
Yeah.
Where that is?
It's right over there.
It's toward LAX.
Close enough to come and hang out with us on
That's
the
right.
18th and 19th.
Okay, but this wonderful gentleman who listens every week is not in youth ministry.
Oh.
But he oversees.
Listens every week?
But he oversees youth ministry, and he wants to learn. He says, even though I'm not in youth ministry directly, I listen to every episode to get a feel for how to interact with our students and staff.
This makes me really happy.
Isn't that cool?
What better way to stay relevant in youth ministry than to come to the table every week?
Well, I mean,
pull up a chair, my friend.
Yeah.
Bob,
Right.
what was his name?
Pastor Ray.
Bob. I'm an associate pastor in Seal Beach. Just finished the hiring process to bring on board a new full-time director of student ministries and global mission to replace our previous youth pastor who is moving toward retirement. He was there. The previous youth pastor was at that church 40 years.
What?
40
Amazing.
years.
That's cool.
Here's my question. As his boss, what would be some tangible things for me to do to help the new guy succeed in the first few weeks and months?
This email's mind-blowing.
Background.
Seriously, I want to work for this guy.
Yeah.
Where is it at?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, on the way to LAX.
That's a terrible.
He's taking over for a high school group of 35 or so with little mandate for change in the near term, and a college group that's almost non-existent with a high need for immediate change. Thanks for your help. Trust is earned.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good question. I love a question like this.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to what I was saying with the Tory comment.
Yeah.
How can I help this person win?
That's unbelievable.
How different would church culture be, or any type of relational culture that we're going? How do I help her win? How do I help him? How do I help him win?
So awesome.
As opposed to being territorial and selfish, and I got to look out for my budget, and So anyway,
That's
Bob,
awesome.
I appreciate it. We love your heart. That's great.
I'll get us started if that's all right. What do you guys think about it? I'm just thinking about any unset expectations in the hiring process. It would be great to put those, just really evaluate what do we want from this guy or this gal, and let's put that on the table. So a non-existent college ministry, is that a reference to we would like this college ministry existing? Or is 35 and no change anticipated? Is there any like double meaning or hint, or just let the youth worker know what you're hoping for them to accomplish? Because a year from now, potentially, if the expectations don't meet, it will be a disaster. So I think knowing what you're in for, letting them know what you're looking for specifically, it's a huge win. And take them out to lunch every once in a while.
Yeah, regularly. Not every once in a while.
That would be mine. Is just get to know him as a person, get to know, his experiences. I think have a good time together. I think the better friends that you become, the more I think fun your ministry with him will be, and I think the easier it will be to have tough conversations from time to time, or have challenging conversations of taking things to the next level or whatever. I think establishing a base friendship, and not even just going out to eat. What are your interests? Maybe there's something fun you can do. To just build relationship. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, because really our style is very relational.
Totally.
And, and sometimes to a fault. So sometimes when it comes time to having that very difficult conversation with somebody on your team, you're like, I like this guy so much, I'm not sure whether I want to tell him the truth. But that's really why we asked Matt to not be here. Which we can talk about next week. I mean, we've talked about him getting canned. We might as well talk about him having a 1 week probation.
I agree. Well, that DUI was rough. So, just kidding.
That's not true. That is not true.
How do you know it's not
Maybe
true?
that's why he was sweating so much when he was preaching.
No.
You don't know.
I know.
He drinks more than all of us.
Well, have you seen Seth?
A lot of.
I'm a Christian, so I don't.
Yeah.
Speaking of drinking, do you want to throw your lines out about my water?
Oh,
this is why we need a pre-show.
I know. We should do like a live
be
pre-show.
live, but okay. So you
We
really
would finally spring for internet here.
it has water, and there was a little bit of coloration in the water because I had some tea.
Kind of a lot. Of
Okay,
coloration.
well,
It just looks like you're drinking your own urine. That's
Okay,
all.
that was
It just
one.
looks-
That was
it looks
one.
uncomfortable.
Goldfish.
Oh, it looked like a goldfish died in there.
Okay.
And then
Phosphorus?
Phosphorus. There was something about phosphorus.
Yeah, something about phosphorus.
Did someone put some phosphorus in your water? Something
Yeah, no. Your third was it went from phosphorus to goldfish.
Yep.
IP clear.
IP clearer than that.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, Josh was 0 for 3. None of us laughed at any of those, but we thought we'd try
Moderate
with it.
chuckle.
But it's pre-show. I got to warm up a little bit before we take the stage.
Before we get the real.
That's right.
Hey.
Hey, but we are planning a pre-show. We're planning
Absolutely.
live. We've got a whole new
nervous for
thing
that
happening.
An uncensored, unfiltered live show.
It will only be the
super.
it won't be
insider
open
team.
to the public. It'll
Yeah.
be an
Diehards.
insider.
It'll be friends.
It'll be an insider.
You got to know somebody. More or
Bob,
less. Yeah.
Bob, here's I think a good question when you're going out with him or hanging with him is asking exactly what you said. How can I help you?
Cool.
Versus tell me what's going on. Because tell me what's going on in your ministry. It's actually a fine and fair question. But it almost puts me a little bit at the defensive. Like I feel like now I got to brag and talk about all the stuff that's going on, as opposed to you saying, I'm so glad that you're here. Tell me, how can I help you win? Because he's following somebody that's been there 40 years. Okay, there is so much equity in that person's longevity there that every move this new guy makes could be a difficult move or struggled or judged against. So to have that freedom to go, oh gosh, my direct report likes me so much that he just wants to help me win.
It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's early on. Play that role.
And maybe
remove
show
the
up at a
roadblocks.
couple things too, like just showing your support. Like I think so. There are times where leadership is like in the office or like during the work hours, really wanting to connect, but they never come to anything you do.
Yeah.
So I think too, if you could show up to a few things, and let him know that you're showing up, so it doesn't feel big brotherish, but just like in that supportive way of like, cool, I'm glad I'm seeing you in action, and this is fun. Like I wish more people saw us in action.
And in like a cheerful, I support you, not the arms folded, I'm evaluating your program, I think you're doing a terrible job.
Yeah.
Posture.
Exactly.
The walkthrough like this.
Yeah, kind of scowling at the kid with long hair and then that stain. You don't want that guy.
Said from everybody who wishes that their bosses would do that, right?
Yes, for sure. For sure.
Yeah. All right.
You can never have enough of that. You can never have enough affirmation and love from your supervisor.
Kathy Fields is so hot. I'm sorry to say that to
Well,
you
if
guys.
Matt was
Why are you
here, he would
sorry?
agree.
Well, I just look at her. She's,
I loved your anniversary Instagrams.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
so cute.
Yeah.
Your
That
wedding
was great.
photo.
although we're gonna have to. Seth is kind of cocky to have parked in the driveway. And blocked. So not only does Seth have like takes Matt's chair, but takes Kathy's parking space.
Yeah, you're now blocked in.
Yeah.
Trust is earned, Seth. We're gonna just get the parking spot in the driveway.
That's a good bit.
Nicely done.
That could stick.
Yeah.
It could, because it was like,
Yeah, I was so hopped up, ready for that answer.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys could tell.
no,
I was sitting on it for a good
had
30
no
seconds.
idea.
It's perfect. Do you want to add anything to
All
Bob?
I'd say is that's a tough role for him to come into. Like, arguably, it's one of the toughest spots for a new youth worker to go into is
The
after someone's
shadow.
been successful. Yeah, and then especially for 40 years. So just for him to know that this guy's in a tough spot, so how can I help him win? Well, that's a
Cool.
great attitude to have.
Cool.
But
Yeah.
give him freedom, help him succeed.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
Bob, we like you.
I
a
hope
gift.
that
We really
youth
like-
pastor
Yeah.
gets in. Like, wouldn't it be fun to get like something from the youth pastor?
That
like,
would be
my
awesome.
supervisor's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'm following this guy of 40 years.
Oh, that'd be rad.
That's good.
Actually, that's one thing Bob could do. Share the show.
Share the show.
Yeah, if you really loved him,
If you love him, what would you do? Share the show.
you would
Send him to the
expose
weekend
him.
with us.
You get yeah. Sign up for the
to the
fan
weekend.
conference.
Yeah, they both should come. The associate guy and his youth guy should both come hang with
Love
us.
it.
I want
I'm
to
in.
We could learn a lot from them.
That's fun. This is John
walk in like this.
John
Hey, guys.
Mathai.
Yeah.
John Mathai
Mathai.
from Valley Center, Kansas. I was reading a book by a well-known pastor, and he said that leadership was a gift, and gifted leaders need to be leading. I am the lead and only student pastor in my church. But now I'm wondering if I shouldn't be, because I don't think leadership is my primary gifting. Teaching and shepherding are my gifts. Is this something I should be concerned about, or do you think the fact that God called me into youth ministry makes me a leader regardless of whether it's my gift or not?
That's
Wow.
a good question.
Which also feels like it's a perfect setup for a Leader Trex
Yeah.
gift. So as you guys start answering it, I will figure out what we're going to send them.
I like the idea that teaching and leading are not the same thing. I think that's a very, very wise observation, because so many people think because you are the visible face of the ministry and you're preaching or teaching or the primary communicator, you therefore are also the leader. And that is not always the case.
Yeah.
The gifting is very, very different. I would say, though, God has brought you there and He's called you there, and clearly you have more leading gifts than maybe you would give yourself credit for. And I might even disagree a little bit. I think leadership can be learned. I think I've learned a ton from the leadership at this table. Just kidding. I've learned a ton from all of you, and continue to. I am a better leader.
You've learned something from Seth.
Absolutely. Oh, so many things. I've learned how not to interject when I answer a question.
Yeah.
No, I've learned so much from Seth. More than you'll ever know, Doug, from you. And Katie, honestly, working with you every day for years, a ton from you.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm the world's best leader, honestly. Unfortunately, not the world's best teacher either, so I guess I'm kind of screwed. But the idea is...
But you are the hardest working youth worker.
Of course, I suck at everything. I have to work hard. But what I'm saying is, I think leadership, sure, there's a gifting, there's a bent, there's a whatever. I think more of it can be learned than you think.
Yeah. I agree too. I mean, I would say Katie's one of the best leaders I've ever worked with.
Yes.
But I watched Katie when she, when I went to Saddleback, she was still in high school.
Yeah.
So I've watched her develop for many, 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 many years. And Katie didn't start as, I would say you started more as a shepherd.
Yeah, I think
That was probably
maybe where a lot of people start as youth workers, like loving students and
Yeah.
kind of in that role.
And still lead most effectively that way. Nudging people, coaching people, coaxing.
Yeah.
But that's leading.
Yeah.
Shepherding is leading still.
Well, and I also, I've said this a lot at larger church environments. What we tend to do is we tend to think. I had a hard time getting McGill at Saddleback to be seen as a great leader because he wasn't the upfront teacher. I was,
Exactly.
and so the paradigm was you're a leader teacher. because that was Rick.
Absolutely.
That was me.
Sure.
And so, when I was taking on different roles and all of a sudden you're going, hey, Matt is the guy. Matt's running circles around me in terms of, well, he's not a leader teacher. And I think we're, that wasn't said from Rick. That was an executive pastor type role. But I think that is a little bit of the stereotype, is that you got to be the leader teacher type thing, and I think you can lead from your teaching. And Josh, you do that very well. You're a great communicator, and you lead through your teaching. But yeah, I think John, you can definitely grow in your. I think it's probably easier, and I would like to think through this before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think it's probably easier to move from a good teacher to a leader than from a leader to a good teacher.
Yeah,
that's probably true.
Yeah, I don't know if it is. It sounds.
Don't you think, is teaching a gift more than leadership is a gift?
I don't think that you throw more on there.
Right.
I mean, scriptures say we all have spiritual gifts.
Totally.
So, and a lot of people think they have the spiritual gift of teaching, and then realize people don't have the spiritual gift of listening, and so it's a difficult deal. But yeah, I think you grow into your leadership, but you may also find yourself in an environment like, if John worked with one of you guys, he could be primary teacher shepherd and
not
you
have
lead.
to lead.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, and Josh, you've also talked about where you're so good is you allow other people to teach on the weekend, which is the primary teaching role.
Yep.
And while they do that, you're leading.
Right.
So instead of you spending 15 hours prepping during that week, you're spending that 15 hours in leadership development.
We're in a series right now called You on the Weekend, and where high schools take over youth group. It is incredible. And it requires coaching and all that jazz, but I am an incredible leader when I don't have to teach, and so I'm excited about that. We're right in the middle of it, and it's been great.
Well, and you're doing a lot of leadership training with your team
so much
during this time too.
Yeah.
You Own the Weekend. Isn't there a product?
There is. It's available on downloadyouthministry.com. So check it out. It's like an ebook that Doug and I wrote, and it's based on our experience.
I didn't write it. I edited it.
When I saw the track changes, the whole document was red. So basically, Doug rewrote my book. No, it's just a quick little ebook, give you a lot of tips and pointers that we've learned about You on the Weekend. It's fun. I mean, it is probably in the top 5 questions that have been asked in the last several years. Tell me about You on the Weekend. How does this work? What happens? How do you... So I collected everything that I've written and added a bunch to it, and there it is. Downloadyouthministry.com. Check it out.
So fun.
Hey, and we're going to send you from Leader Tracks, Leading Youth Ministry, an interactive resource to help youth workers grow in leadership.
Cool. That's a great one.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Yeah, brilliant.
I love that we give away free gifts.
I do too. You know what I love about it? I love that we don't have to ship them out of this dumb garage.
Yeah. I'm glad it's not one more thing you have to do.
You know what? Here's what I do. Let me tell you how I do post-show.
Tell us. You throw the questions away.
I
staple them.
You upset?
No. No.
Seth, here are my notes.
No, I staple them. I write the episode on there. But through this, I either cross them out, or I wrote, like on that one, send Leader Treks, Leading Youth Ministry. And then I give this to Deb, my assistant.
And she just does it.
Deb takes care of it. And our sponsors are great about sending
That's
stuff.
super cool.
Too great, right?
Sometimes
some people get their resource before.
That's managing the show this week. So this show's going to be out so fast. Yeah.
Are we caught up?
We're close. Yep, we got one in the can right now.
And then this one today. And we're filming next week?
Oh, yeah.
Spring break.
I'm here. I'm doing a little staycation.
Every day.
Same.
Are you?
Yeah.
Let's play.
We might come over to the swim.
Great.
We were planning on this.
I was going to say, I don't know if I asked about that.
That's fun.
We're going to be in the pool.
All right. This is a question. Do not read my name.
Okay.
First off, Matt, sorry to hear you got canned. I love how you've been so open with your story and the hope you've given so many others in similar situations as a result. I'm heading for a transition myself in the near future. I've been at my church for just over 5 years now as a full-time paid youth pastor, and my senior pastor wants me to transition into a different role on staff in a year or so. I would probably still be overseeing the vision direction of the youth ministry, but we would hire another youth pastor to step into the current role while I turn my attention to some in the adult ministries in the church. And he could learn from Bob on how to do this now. I think there's a lot about the new job that I would enjoy and I do sense somewhat of a calling towards it. If, in fact, it does happen, what are some things I can focus on in the next 12 months to ensure the best possible transition for the students and families in our ministry? Thanks for your wisdom and the good times you guys offer up every time.
There you go.
That's a great question. So it sounds like he's most likely headed towards this position.
Yeah, and staying there.
Yep.
That's cool.
And then the new guy isn't determined yet, right? We don't know that to be true, but I think one thing you could do once that decision's made is just to do your part to help champion, like we were talking about with Bob, but to sit down with him or her and just lay out kind of where things have been and explain, hey, here's the rhythm, here's the volunteers, here's the parents. Just kind of pour out everything that you know, and then in front of the students, in front of the parents, champion that guy. Just
Do it.
So that may be
clear.
12 months from now.
Yeah. I will.
So what do we do in the meantime? Because that's great coaching once that new person gets there. I think your goal is to decrease and allow your volunteers to increase. So whatever that looks like, from responsibility to delegation to teaching to tasks to management of other volunteers, your goal, and I think this is everybody who's in a paid environment, get out of the way and get the volunteers to have more ownership. Ideally, they'll probably last longer than you will at that church, unless you're the guy that worked there 40 years. But they're going to outlast you. And if you set them up to win by you decreasing, them increasing, you're preparing that leadership foundation for the next person who comes in.
That's good.
I like it. I was thinking, what if you could even find 4 key volunteers, just to drill a little bit deeper in that. Someone to kind of look at events and activities and whatever, which is important. Someone to look at whatever your discipleship model is, and then someone to just carry on maybe even 2 of them, to carry on the youth group and activities. Just not as a band-aid, but really to give them the leadership to own it. And you can probably from a distance keep an eye on 4 people and communicate well with 4 people. The temptation for the church, though, if it goes well, is for them not to hire a youth pastor, because you're kind of still overseeing it and they're kind of doing okay. Plus you now have this full-time job over here. So I would also be a part of the search and help make sure that someone actually does come in.
That's good.
To oversee that.
Well, and I wouldn't start transitioning until it's time to do transition, because I think a lot of miscommunication happens in transition with parents and students, and a lot of rumors get started, and I heard he's kind of backing off. What do you think's happening? There's like a lot of assumptions that happen, I think, when transition is afoot. So, I think just wait to actually transition, maybe set up with the senior pastor or the executive leadership, like, what's the timeline for this? And, there is a time to begin talking about it, but maybe not don't transition fully until it's time to transition.
Yeah, but you're transitioning in your heart anyway.
Right.
Totally.
So
immediately.
if you know you're moving on and that's clear,
Yeah.
you can be setting those volunteers up to win without using the language that I'm leaving.
And be okay if they don't hire another you. Sometimes you've had your handprint on things for so long, you want them to hire someone like you. I want to be like it's my baby. Take care of my baby. But maybe give them the freedom to look for someone that's going to take it in a different direction.
Yeah.
And still.
Yeah, I think being supportive of them, like you said, is very a big deal. When I went to my very first church, the former youth pastor volunteer was still in the church in a significant leadership role, but they didn't offer him the job of youth pastor. They went outside, found me, and
The hardest working upcoming.
no, I just made every mistake in the book. And that guy was a mixture of my biggest fan and not a fan, and that was really, really tough because he was passed over for the job. I got it. I wasn't doing so great. And so it was a tough environment where, if he was loving and supportive and even coached me in those early years especially, it would have really been a gift. So maybe just to put a little skin on what you were saying, yes, please, coach, love, believe in, support.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, let's end by answering these 2 questions that are very similar, but I also want to do something.
We've answered so many questions.
Well, without McGill here, it's unbelievable.
No catcalls, no nothing.
I want to figure out some bit that the team, because right now we've got people writing in, Matt, sorry you got fired, sorry you got canned, which is great.
A new bit.
It feels like we need to add a new bit, like, boy, it sure was nice when Matt wasn't there.
Heard about the DUI. Come on, that's funny.
No, that's terrible.
It's too far? Is it too far?
Horrible.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
Frank gone bad, has
No.
potential.
Alright.
He's recently been
not
fired,
funny.
so let's
Yeah, we don't wanna
keep
pile on.
But I think we could do something like, episode, what are we, 214?
214.
Episode
Wow.
214 was so good without Matt. something
Yeah, there
like
you
that.
go. Yeah, historic episode 214.
Yeah, he won't listen this
Landmark.
far in to know what we're
And in
saying.
all fairness, we wouldn't either. Yeah. So, I mean, Katie would.
Yeah.
She's listened to almost one full show now after
One full, 1 0
After-
0.
after 13 episodes on the show. She's finally listened to half of one.
Katie, you're
It
the
was a
only
great
reason I
one.
keep doing this.
Foundation.
So Mark Eads, our buddy from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and Steve
Love Mark.
Carvalho from Forked River, New Jersey. Steve says, if you guys can share what your summer schedules look like for youth ministry with some specific events on a given night. What have you done in the past that worked? What are you trying now that is great? Thanks for everything you do. Love watching the show. Mark says, you guys talked in episode 212 about how summertime is a different busy compared to school year being a busy time. What are some good filters to use to be to be busy when it is the right time to be busy, but also when not to be busy?
There you
That's,
go.
I
I think we're
understand.
That's
missing
a
a few
thing.
words
That's
there.
No, I think I understand what you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who are
Great.
we answering first?
Let's combo burrito 'em.
Love it. Wrap it up with tortilla and eat it. Here we go. You go.
Summer schedule.
Thank you.
Well, for our summer, this would be to maybe Mark's question a little bit. Our students get out in late June, so we have kind of, I know we get out later than the rest of the world, but
Yeah,
We get out-
the world that gets out earlier, June, like in the Dallas, Tulsa driving
they're
area,
in summer.
Student
ready
leadership.
to go to student
Yeah.
leadership.
Promo.
Middle of June.
Yeah, June 12th.
Oh, how convenient. There's a giant poster with that exact early summer date on it.
That's just in my garage.
People really think we probably plan stuff like that. That's such a great bit. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. So we get out late June, and in junior high we do like 6 weeks of summer. So from when students get out of school to our summer camp is the first week of August. We kind of plan all of our stuff in between those two bookends, and then the end of August is when we go on vacation. So we kind of have two parts to our summer. We do have our busy time, and then we do have a little bit of our downtime before we kind of start gearing back up for fall, which is in September for us. So there's two parts. And then in summer, in junior high, we're totally relational. That is the theme of summer. We lose 50% of our junior high congregation at the top of summer. So we have half of our students are brand new into our ministry. So we just have to do a lot of relational foundation work and connecting students to our ministry, connecting parents. So we have a lot of fun, a lot of relational stuff. We do our regular weekend service every weekend. But then during the week, we have like girls trip, guys trip. We have a Friday morning lunch and Bible study that's just for fun at our student building, which is super fun, and it's like play and do a little Bible study and eat lunch. We have our Happy Birthday America barbecue. We have just a lot of fun. We have something called night camp. It's different than summer camp. We geared it because so much happens in consecutive days of relationship. So every weeknight of the week we do a 2-hour show up at laser tag, show up at the church for water balloon night, show up, and it's consecutive nights in a row, so it has a little bit of a camp feel, but it's really inexpensive.
And you're not actually spending the night. You're just
You're
showing
not spending
up
the night.
each
It's
night.
2 hours
Cool.
each night.
Great.
It's $10 each night. If you come to all 5 nights, it's even cheaper. So you're having kind of
fun.
that camp experience and relationship, but for $40 as opposed to our summer camp is a couple
$1 million.
$100.
That's a fun idea. So kids could pick and choose which ones they
Kids
want to
can
go
pick and
to.
choose and come, but a lot of them end up coming the whole week because it's just really fun and it's inexpensive, and we have a lot of the same leaders there every single night, so it just has that camp
Cool.
feel, but it's 2 hours, no setup really. We're just showing up somewhere.
It's fun.
And parents handle all the transportation, so it's cool. It's fun. So that's been a tradition we've had the last few summers.
That's great.
Yeah.
We think you nailed both questions.
Yeah,
with that.
I agree. Just addendum, if that's all right. During the school year, we honestly have maybe 4 events for the entire year. We just are not an event-driven ministry, and we do occasional, supplemental, very evangelistic and community-based events.
And part of that, so people get the context,
Yeah.
is all the teenagers are in small groups,
Totally. We have youth group every week. We have small group every
and
week.
that small group can do events if
And they
want.
are. They're doing surf projects,
Yeah.
events, hanging
Yeah.
out, whatever. It's
Okay.
awesome. So we kind of have this mini youth group within our youth group. But in the summer, we totally switch gears, and small groups are done. We still have our normal youth group meeting, but we have a midweek Bible study, and we go roller skating, and we have a Flojo is the name of a Florence Griffith Joyner park in the area. So we do a park morning every single Friday. We're doing a zombie night and roller skating and a water day with this huge water slide we're building on this hill that's on our church property.
And cheap. We're both shooting
Super
for cheap.
yeah.
So as cheap as possible.
Everything is break even.
Yeah.
Everything is $5-ish, $10-ish bucks. It's just super fun. And then
Free if it can
we
be.
push everything to summer camp. Summer camp right now has been in the middle of summer, and it has been really, really big for us. And so we do combinations of, but basically what I'm trying to say is we go event crazy all summer long.
Yeah, us too.
And then we dial it way back and go fellowship, discipleship, evangelism for the school year, and sprinkle in a little fun every once in a while. Yeah, so
But high connect in the summer.
Totally.
And send your really sharp kids to student leadership.
absolutely we are. We just signed up for our group to come up to the
Dallas
I was going to say Dallas. No, Mariners. We're going to be over at Mariners Student Building here at the California location. It's going to be fun.
You guys,
Excited.
it's always great to be together.
That's a good show.
You have anything to add to that?
They nailed it.
I
That's
know,
great.
because we're at 49 minutes and 23
Oh,
seconds, and I
yeah.
started that a little bit late.
Nailed it.
Sponsors, Youth Specialties, Leader Treks, YM360,
Yes.
Remedy Live.
Thank
Thank you for
Thank you.
making this happen. To our team, thanks for being a part of this. Send in your questions. Also, we're going to be talking very seriously very soon about that live show.
Yeah.
What's happening?
It's around
it's
the
on.
corner.
Yeah.
Game on.
I don't know when, but it's happening.
Someday.
We talked about it at Denny's the other
You
night.
need internet that's better than dial-up. You know you got to buy that.
That's
right?
Seth's.
Seth.
I told him I'll write the check. Seth just has to
Let's
figure
get
it
a
out.
T1
Yeah.
in here, or some fiber.
We've been borrowing the neighbors for years, and so
Yeah.
we gotta figure
Sorry,
out a
Roger.
different solution.
We'll reimburse you.
Yeah.
Roger. Just pick
I
it
know,
up.
good thing I made.
Good. Seth, let's give Seth a grade
I think
on how he did individually.
In all honesty,
I
with
think you were
I
an
just feel
A+.
okay about it.
Oh no,
That's generous. I just
No, I
feel
think
okay
you
about
were.
it.
With the exception of that jump in
Yeah.
and that
I liked
very.
the confidence. I was
Yeah, me too.
surprised.
All right, all right.
Surprised, but
Yeah, you give him an A+, you can give him whatever you want.
I'll give him an A minus.
Don't
I
knock my
always want to
grade.
give people room for improvement. No one gives an A plus. Not even Doug Fields. You did A minus today. Good job.
Thank you.
I give myself an A.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
still room for improvement.
Yeah, I'd give you an A little higher than Josh. All right, you guys are the best. You want to end this McGill like and
historic.
have a going out comment?
Yeah, you need
no
to.
edits.
Yeah, here
This
we
is
go.
good.